What's up, witches? It's me, Luna. Welcome to the channel. I am here for a Monday tarot unboxing. So if you've got a little bit of time, make yourself a cup of tea, find the like button and click it, if you will. And let's take a look at a brand new deck. This deck is funded by my patrons, so thank you so much. And if you would like to be one of those patrons, it's just a $3 a month at a witch, but you have a say in the decks that I buy, and my undying gratitude and blessings. So here we have the Tarot of the Sorceress, a Witch's Wheel of the Year, and this deck was only released this past November. Pardon me, November 2022. So less than 2 months ago. And I love the black box. This is a rock pool deck. And when I got it, it had been on my wish list, but then I saw a friend got it for Christmas, and it reminded me. And I went and looked because I only have 2 other rock pool decks that are tarot, as opposed to the stack of oracle decks. Rockpool just doesn't have that many tarot, and this is one of them. The other ones I have are the Vlad Dracula tarot and the Hieronymus Bosch, which I just got as well for Christmas. So, Bérangère de Moncy, pardon me, is the author. We have this nice, sturdy black box, and discover concealed oracle messages and bring to light your hidden depths with the Tarot of the Sorceress. So even though it's a tarot deck, we're, pushing oracle. Inspired by pagan spirituality, this deck revolves around the seasonal festivals, sabbats, and solar events that comprise the Wheel of the Year, and rituals encompassing the 4 elements of air, water, fire, and earth. So very pagan. I love it. The major arcana cards embrace the great movements of the Wheel of the Year, while the minor arcana cards are tools in the service of the major arcana, depicting sabbats, seasons, moon cycles, sacred figures, constellations, planets, crystals, and plants. Wow! Each element has its own force, but together the cards take on different symbols. I'm intrigued. This striking tarot, with its beautiful black and white illustrations and metallic highlights, pardon me again, reflects the magical and mystical world. It can be used for divination or during rituals. So sorry. And looky, we've got this. It just arrived yesterday. I've deplastified it, but we've got this snappy box, which I love so much. And the gold lining. Here's the book. I kind of wish there was a ribbon thing, because when you take books out of these, you have to kind of grab and pull it, and it does stuff. Anyway, here's the book. Ooh, look at the black pages. Okay. And then, as you see, I have not yet looked at the cards. Look at the stars. So nice. Let's pull this out and deband. Gold. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Wait a minute. Gosh, my hands are shaking this morning for some reason. Could it be the coffee? Nah. All right. Let's put the deck there and take a look at the book. Let me roll on up here. All right. I love the black pages. Contents: the Tarot, Why a Sorceress Tarot, Numerology, How to Use the Cards, Card Spreads. We have a 1 and 3 card spreads, Cross Spread, and Witches Spread. Then we've got the majors, the minors, acknowledgements, and about the author. So let's take a look at the author first. Bérangère de Moncy has exercised her expertise in everything from publishing to fashion and the creation of illustrated card decks. For a number of years, she has been the creative director behind Gastronogeek, mixing cuisine and pop culture, and restoring the aura of fabulous grimoires. Wow! Her current work is inspired by pop culture and the esoteric world of tarot, which she designs and practices with love and intuition. Learn more about Bérangère de Moncy's work on social media at Baron_illustre. So Okay. I am definitely going to be doing a little bit of research into her. So we have Tarot, intuition, divination, curiosity, and a need to connect to something greater. Any reason to draw tarot cards is legitimate. The tarot will bring answers to your questions, and this is where its magic lies, as the cards will always adapt to your expectations. Is your question legitimate? Yes, it is. If you read cards just for fun, you will have trouble drawing interpretations from the imagery, but it will be diverting. Okay. If you look to go further, to embark on an introspective or divinatory journey, your cards will become an alphabet for you. Interesting. So it talks about the basic setup of the major and the minors. Swords symbolize the mind, intellect, and spirituality. Cups are emotions. Wands, creativity and sexuality. And coins, the material. In the Tarot of the Sorceress, the 4 traditional suits are replaced by their respective elements of air, water, fire, and earth. Will they make swords fire? See the section Why a Sorceress's Tarot. In any tarot, swords correspond to the element of air, cups to water. Not in any. Some swords are fire. Okay, so I imagine that we're going with the traditional. Okay. The tarot I have imagined draws its inspiration from 2 distinct traditions, the Marseille Tarot and the Rider-Waite Tarot. In my readings, I combine both traditions to create my own practice, and by following that personal pattern, I created this tarot. This booklet is completely infused with that combination as well as with my own tradition. However, this tarot can absolutely be used as a Marseille Tarot or a Rider-Waite Tarot, or be applied to your own personal tradition if you have one. Another magic aspect of this tarot is that you can own it, sometimes to extremes. I'm not sure what that means. The Tarot of the Sorceress includes these elements from the Rider-Waite tradition. The imagery is very illustrated and easy to interpret, even with the minors. The meanings of the minors are very practical and grounded in reality. Also includes these elements from Marseille. The knight follows the king, as presented in Alejandro Jodorowsky's book, The Way of Tarot. This suggests that the knight is a messenger of the king and therefore moves toward the next suit of cards. That's interesting. The numerology preserves the passive-active aspect of the cards. The names, numbers, and elements of imagery follow the Marseille tradition, and I don't know what that means either. The interpretations of the cards may differ from your usual tarot if you have one. So why the Sorceress? I created the Tarot of the Sorceress based on the Wheel of the Year, drawing my inspiration from seasonal pagan spirituality. This tarot therefore revolves around seasons and festivals and the Sabbats that pace them throughout the year. It is more broadly built, as if it were a full participant in the creation of rituals around the 4 elements of air, water, fire, and earth. The major arcana cards embrace these great movements of the Wheel of the Year and the figures of a pagan spirituality. The minor arcana cards are like tools in the service of the major arcana. I kind of like that. Depicting Sabbats, seasons, moon cycles, sacred figures, constellations, planets, crystals, and plants. Each element has its own force, but together the cards take on a different symbol. See, I don't understand what that means. Each suit includes an element, a time of day, a sense, a lunar phase, a candle, a crystal, a herb, a flower, a magical tool, a planet, an incense, an animal, an allegory, and constellations. Wow. This tarot was created in this way so that anyone can connect with it and use it in their own personal way in a reading, and also by breathing a special intention into an important card or even using it as a pocket altar. I invite you to discover the subtleties of the tarot for yourself and to invest it with your own intentions, feelings, messages, and intuitions. Of course, this particular tarot deck does not in any way change the traditional meanings of the major arcana and minor arcana, instead simply involving multiple levels of reading to which you should feel free to add your own. And then we've got numerology. 1, everything is possible. 2, duo, a constructive or fruitless relationship. 3, uncertain, adolescent, enthusiastic, destructive movement. 4 is stability. 5, something gone awry. 6, renewed stability, time of feeling good. 7 is doubt. 8 is perfection, a deadline or ending. 9 is looking further out, moving on to something else. 10, being ready for what comes next, making decisions. Page is hesitation. Queen is grounding in the element. King is confidence and completion. Knight is a message moving on to what comes next. Okay, then we have how to use the cards. And it talks about the card stories and reverses. Then we have spreads, and there's reverses again. Patterns in spreads. We're not going in depth into that. And then we have the major arcana. All right. Ding. Be right back. All right, here we go. Here is the back, and it shows the 8-spoked wheel of the year and the sun with the triple moon. What a beautiful image. Now, okay, here is the Fool. And I see, I mean, we've got the gilding on the sides, but I'm looking to see if this is reflective. The gold that's on the card isn't reflective, and that's just fine. So we have the number in the bottom and the Fool, and rather than stepping off of a cliff, this Fool is riding a broom to the moon. No little dog snapping at the heels. It's a wonderful image. The cardstock feels good. I'm expecting this to shuffle like a dream, even though it does have gilding. Sometimes gilded decks, the cardstock is so thick, so the gilding has a place to be, that it makes them hard to shuffle, but I don't anticipate that here. Here's the Magician. With kind of a Chinese-looking garb, we're seeing the Magician from the back. All the elements, so definitely traditional. If you didn't see the title and looked at this, you would know that was the Magician card. And here we have the High Priestess with the book. So you might not know it's the High Priestess because we are focused on the book here. But it's got the name, so you know. Here's the Empress, and look at her, pregnant and dancing a maypole with some what looks to be fairy folk. I love it. So the Empress brings in with the maypole, I mean, she's pregnant, so we have fertility and abundance, but we also with the maypole have that sexuality element, and I like that. And it even looks like she's got stretch marks on her leg. I love that too. The Emperor. Ooh. So though we have black and white drawings, he certainly looks like a darker skinned man, and I really appreciate that. We've got what looks kind of like an Aztec symbol behind, but only ish, and then we've got a snake. And this is the Hierophant. You would absolutely not know that's a Hierophant unless it said. Look at the tattoos. We've got like praying hands and a scale and other things. And a bald head, kind of making you think monkishness, and look at the geometry. Interesting symbols. I'll be interested to see how in-depth the book goes. Here's the Lovers, which you would not have any clue whatsoever that that is the Lover's card. We've got, I need to look this up. Is that a geode? Like cut in half? We've got crystals and things. Let's look. Okay, so we have the title, and then we have crystals, rhodochrosite, garnet, and pink quartz. And we have keywords, crossroads, choices, decisions, wishes. That might be Marseille influence, because I've never seen the Lovers as crossroads and choices. At any rate, symbolized by the connection between the new moon representing new starts, new things you contemplate, the sun, the light in the sky. The three crystals represent the three entities, both similar, blah, 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 blah. That are the elements of your life. They can be pleasant or difficult. The rhodochrosite at the bottom, okay, so that's what that is used to heal sentimental wounds and restore harmony between the body and mind. The garnet in the middle, so that's a garnet. So that is the, and we have more than a page of text. This is one of the disadvantages of having a black and white deck. because how would you know that's a garnet except by reading it? And I mean, is it an issue? Not really, because you have the book and you will read it. But I would love to see a color deck from this artist. Whoopsie. And then we've got the Chariot, showing no chariot, but someone in motion, and birds flying, and butterflies. And then we have La Justice. Look at justice. Naked with the sword, she's drawing a line. I like that idea of drawing a line in the sand. And I expect there will be a discussion of these images and what those plants are. Triple moon. Ding! I got the pitch right even. Here's the Hermit. Interesting that it's a singing bowl. All right. The Wheel of Fortune. That's recognizable. Strength. So rather than a lion, we've got these twining. Is that a vine? Is it smoke? I don't know. The Hanged Man. Oh, that's pretty cool. Moon phases in the sun. Okay. There's no name. Here's the Death card. And there is no name on it. I mean, you can see the skeletons through the whole thing. Well, let's jump into the book again. Hanged Man. Okay. Underneath this banner, it just says Samhain. And it says, the card that has no name is a card of brutal, boundless transformation that aims to clear the slate of what already exists and remove all that is toxic in your life. This card, sometimes also called Death, is the fruit not of an external entity, but of your own thinking, your own thread of life decisions. Okay, so she has chosen not to give it the name Death. And that's a valid choice, because if you think about it, if you read for other people, what's the card that they're terrified of? It's the Death card. So, you know, take away that connotation, even though we've got skeletons and, you know, symbols of decay, and it might make it a little more accessible. All right. Temperance. We're not pouring water, but we've got sun and stars. Look at the candles. Holly. That looks maybe like mistletoe. I keep thinking I'm picking up two cards. The Devil. Ooh. Smiling Devil. Passions. Passions that rule you. Here's the Tower. That's very recognizable. The Star. Oh, okay, so that's the image on the front of the deck. Beautiful. I love the lines. I love these long lines. I have a guide that looks like this, that I see as just these long beams of light. She's a healing guide. Here's the Moon. It's kind of like Ophelia floating in the pond here. The Sun. Interesting. Judgment. Wow. Just a simple hand and some shapes. Very interesting choices. And then we have the World. So again, definitely stepping outside of the traditional. And we are starting with air, which is equivalent to blades. We've got a censer. And speaking of, I'm going to light my charcoal now so it has a chance to get a going. So we've got a censer that with billowing clouds of incense. We have the upward pointing triangle, which is the symbol of fire. Oh, no, there's the line across it. All right, that's the symbol of air. Subtle. I mean, it's in gold against the black and white, but still very thin lines, and it's subtle. Now we have two symbols of air, the two of air. All right, so maybe that's what they were talking about, using the symbology of Marseille, that we're going to have at one and the same time an illustrated image, but also pips. And those pips are the symbol of air rather than swords. Yes, we've got three. Three of air. I mean, it's almost kind of redundant. It is kind of redundant because it says three of air down here. We don't really need those, but, you know, okay. And there's a banjo. I do love when music shows up in tarot decks. It's such a huge part of life. And it's such a non-existent part of tarot decks. So, look at the bird. Is the bird coming out of that cage, or is the bird flying? I don't know. Anyway, there's the 4. And we've got the pips, but they're so subtle. So again, I say, why do we need those? And the 5, I mean, it certainly reinforces the symbol of the elements. The 5 of air. So I'm just thinking now about the 5 of swords. And yeah, imagery-wise, we do not correspond. Here's the 6. It's the inside of a big crystal. So I guess, I don't know. Let's just keep going. I'm not going to fuss over every single card. Here's the 7. So think about the 7 of swords, the thief card. Nothing like it. So to say this can be used as a Rider-Waite deck, you just have to have those internalized, I guess. Then we have the 8 of air. So we have no blindfolds. You know, there's no, or very few, people. Have we seen any people in this suit? We have not. So there are people in the majors, but so far no people in the minors. Hands maybe. There's another flute. Here's the 9, which would be the 9 of swords. And I don't see it image-wise. And here's the 10. All right. We keep going. I don't know what these symbols mean. There's the page. Again, we have the suggestion here of a darker-skinned individual. And here, certainly non-white, I would say, which I appreciate. There's the Queen of Swords with the owl. There's the King of Air, I should say. And then we have the Knight. Okay, so we get the people in the courts, but not in the rest. Okay, Aubrey Beardsley is what I think of right away. Just those wonderful Art Nouveau images. The Ace of Water, the 2 of Water. Look at how they're inside each other. That's kind of clever. The 3 with pomegranates. Very earthy images. You know, you look at the pomegranate and the apples and the pears. I can relate it to water in that the sense that goes with the element of water is taste. So, but without this, I would think earth. There's the 4. Oh, that's nice. And the 5. Again, we've got fire depicted. Melting wax, but not really water. The 6. Looks like clouds and crystals. Very interesting choices here. 7. Herbs. Again, I would think earth. And here's, now this takes me to water because it's a lotus, which grows in water. And look at the mudras. So we have this mudra, we have this, we have this. We have, yep, same ones here. The 9 and the 10. Here's the page. Queen, looking very Asian on a swan, the King, and the Knight. There's the constellations. Okay, now we have the Ace of Fire, the Two of Fire, the Three, oh, busy mind, creating, visualizing. That's a really good image of visualizing. The mind's eyes, the Four of Fire, and we just have the moon phases. The Five. And see, here we've got actual fire depicted, except for moon phases. No fire there, but now we're back to crystals. The Six of Fire. And this could be, what did she say, you know, of all the things that each of the suits was going to have. Candle, crystal, herb, flower, element, time of day, sense, lunar phase. So a sense. Flower, magical tool, planet, incense, animal. This will be worth going, like, I would like to spread each of the suits out, like, next to each other so I can see where these things align. There's a plant, the Seven of Fire, which kind of reminds me then of the Seven of Pentacles. There's another plant, the Eight, the Nine. Very wandy that one is. And the 10. Page. I love her people. The Queen. Ooh. She's a crone. I like that. Look at the snake. Yeah. The King. Shouldering a burden. And the Knight, who is out of here. Now we have the Earth suit. So you see the little line there. On the air, they had the line going all the way through, and they don't on this one, and that's interesting. I wonder why. I wonder why everything. You know me, you guys. Here's the Two of Earth with a bat. So again, I'm like, okay, we have an air creature. Three of Earth. These three hands. And look at the muscles and the bones. Wow. The Four is just a moon. The Five is a candle again. The Six is that a rose window? Is that a, I don't know what that is. The Seven, we've got the Sage bundle. The Eight, the growth of a plant. The Nine, certainly we have a pentacle there, that's nice. And then the 10. Mott type wings, there's the Page. And the Queen. Oh, look at the Elder with the stag. I might say this is my favorite so far because I have a soft spot for that stag. Here's the King of Earth, and there's the Knight. Okay, well, let's back out again. All right, let's give this puppy a blessing so we can test drive it. What? I'm going to get every last whiff of smoke out of the last of my sage. I don't blow the sage out. Spiritual reason is because you don't want to blow kind of the blessing out of it, but practical reason, you blow and you can blow flaming embers all over things. So by air and fire, be purified and charged. by water and earth, be blessed and made whole. By the bell, be infused with spirit. Then we welcome in guides and guardians, allies and ancestors. Thank you for being here. I offer you fresh water, and I offer to you this gift for the spirit of divination, the fire of Azrael. If you're wondering what this is, this incense, there is a video, search my channel, for the fire of Azrael, Azrael. You can make your own. It's amazing. Okay, now the acid test. Does it shuffle? Oh, please. It's a bit stiff, and yet we can get a good riffle out of it. So let's do 3 riffles, and then we will cut shuffle to do a test drive. So I'm shuffling in the request for information on how we can rise to the highest level on this day when you're watching this video. How can we present our highest selves? It is getting easier as I go, so the more you use this deck and riffle shuffle it, the easier it's going to get. It is chunker though. If I go like this, I can't really hold the entire deck. So we'll just do a little shuffle. I'm going to do it this way, actually. It's a way around everything, right? As I say, a good witch can make anything work. Okay. They want me to cut to pull cards, but I'm going to keep shuffling like this for a moment. So how can we move out of our self-limitation and into a sense of thriving? All right, here are our cards. I was thinking I'll take 3, and we got 4. All right. Judgment, High Priestess. We got all majors. And you saw that I riffle shuffled, and they were good riffles. So we have all majors. I will be taking more off the top to kind of fill in for these, because I want minors and quarts too. All right. We start with Judgment. So Judgment, High Priestess, Magician, and Fool. Let me get an intuitive sense here. Judgment is about transformation, rebirth. So how we present our highest self is we have to let the false self fall away. You know, the Judgment card shows the day of judgment, where, you know, people are come out of the grave bodily. But to me, it kind of points up that separation between the temporary physical part of ourselves and the spiritual, the eternal spiritual. So this to me says we let that denser self fall away so that the lighter spirit can rise. High Priestess talks about relying on intuition, about going deep. The Magician says we can manipulate things to where we want them to be. And the Fool says it's a fresh start, to have hope, to begin. All right, let's check these out. There's Judgment. Ether. So we have the card name and then an element underneath it, and it says Ether. Keywords are freedom, recognition, and regeneration. The regeneration one I get. Freedom I also get. But recognition I don't really. Okay, Judgment. I'm not going to read all of every card, but I will read all of this one. Judgment embodies resurrection, the ultimate step before the World card, before achieving total victory, with your head turned towards the sky, but your feet still well grounded in the earth. The Judgment is a card of movement, of transitioning from darkness to light and from one stage to another. Judgment is a renewal, a birth, or recognition finally obtained. It can be a sign of a new stage in your life, a resurrection of the kind you can create as many times as you feel the wish to change and become a better person who is closer to your deep aspirations and values. Here, judgment is represented by a deep and magical realm. Ether, the place of all potentialities. Interesting, because Fool is also a card of all potential, the zero. The unknown space in the universe where all intentions are formed and realized, and where magic acquires and exercises its power. Ether has no beginning and no end. He/she is like the state of meditation and is pure energy. As he/she is sometimes considered to be both the union and the creator of the four other elements, then he/she is the fifth element. I wish they would just use they. It's becoming normalized and they could help. Okay, so both the union, creator, the other four elements. It's the fifth element, useful for the practice of magic. The point is not to understand or see ether, but to feel that its existence is already a part of your life as soon as you want it to be. Traditional keywords: new consciousness, desire, vocation, resurrection, rebirth, calling, transcendence, emergence, divine call. All of those except desire and vocation. I don't get those for judgment. All right. So we are called to transform. We are called to let go of the denser things that hold us back while still keeping our feet on the earth. So staying grounded in reality, but not bogged down by the limitations of that reality, I guess I will say. Now, High Priestess. It's still kind of blowing my mind that everything that came out was a major, and they're not sequential. I mean, 0, 1, 2, yes. Fool, Magician, High Priestess are sequential. So this says Book of Spells. Keywords are observation, study, passiveness, intuition, and secrets. I would take the passiveness. I've been changing that word. I don't like the active-passive thing, because passive has the connotation in our culture of victim, of lazy, of ineffectual, and active has the, considering that one is associated with masculine and the other with feminine, has this, I'm active and I'm a go-getter and I'm going to go do it. I prefer creative and experiential. Creating, experiencing. Creating is an outflow, experiencing is an inflow. Okay, so this is experiencing. The High Priestess holds the secrets of a deep study, of which she has everything to teach you. What does her book contain? Why does she want to keep the secret? Only her hands appear, all the better it seems to conceal her identity or to hide what she is. Interesting. There's a mystery to discover here and many things to be learned. What matters is what is said or written, not who says or writes it. The High Priestess represents a passive, dedicated time. So a dedicated time for experiencing. Her hands represent the connection between the seen and the unseen, as if calling upon intuition to divine what is hidden. This card invites you to listen to that intuition, to the intangible, and to take the time to learn what must be learned. Traditional keywords: faith, knowledge, patience, purity, solitude, silence, rigor, gestation, virginity, cold, and resignation. Okay. So again, we are called to use our intuition. The Magician says spring, keywords starting out, tools, potential, and skills. I'm going to skip down here. The Magician is preparing the tools and is in an energy of action, evolving the idea of a creation, something practical to bring to life. Traditional keywords: cleverness, new beginnings, skill, youth, potentiality, bringing to life, disciple, talent, cheating, and mischief. Okay, well that, I do recognize that there could be like reverse keywords here too. The Fool, even though I didn't read her stuff on reversals, says the Sorceress embarks on a spiritual path. Travel, evolution, detachment, exploration, marginality, journeying, fragility, and freedom. Very interesting keywords, not what I would associate with the Fool. Traditional keywords: travel, searching, strangeness, freedom, chaos, madness, detachment, and lack of judgment. Lack of judgment I get. The Fool can mean, being foolish. Madness, there is a madness of the Fool too. Travel, I've never gotten that. Freedom, yes. Okay. The Fool represents the starting point of the sorceress's journey. Who is she? Is she embarking on her spiritual path and mounting her broom for the first time, or is she already on a journey that was begun long before? One thing is sure, she's moving and she still has many things to explore and discover. Okay, she's chosen to be a sorceress and live marginally, to define herself in this way. Okay, so I'm glad that she is defining those keywords. In doing so, she knows she'll have to struggle against preconceived notions, but that her path will be filled with magic, enchantment, and occasional mistakes that will help her grow. It's accompanied by her symbols of the 4 elements: the broom, the black cat. Where's the cat? Oh, I see. Barely on the back of the broom. If we can get it to focus. There we go. See? The cat. Mortar and pestle for her potions, and that is where, I guess that's it. Okay. She might have inherited these from Baba Yaga. She's the Fool and is getting ready to visit with the major arcana of the tarot with all the innocence of a new adventure, or the excitement of renewing an adventure at her own pace and in her own way. She is unique. Okay, I get that. So it's time to rise above the old stuff and allow ourselves to transform using our intuition, using our own magic, and looking forward to something new now. And we have the Sun. The 5 of Water. Thank the gods. And we have a Court. Yay! That's all I needed. So the Sun says, the God. Clarification, emotion. Don't think of emotion for the Sun. Generosity and unconditional love. I think of joy, but not just raw emotion. Reading brings unconditional love. I do get that. And light and insight. Yes, as long as the Sun God is here, you feel protected and warmed. The Sun is the complement of the Moon, that part of your being that is in plain view. Sun's radiance, blah, blah. Keywords are masculine archetype, construction, warmth, love, new life, construction. So we have construction in here twice. Brotherhood, sisterhood, shining, childhood, success, evolution, clarification. All right. So if we use our intuition and we allow ourselves to transform, like with the old, outworn, falling away, we are empowered. There is success. Now, let's get to 5 of Water. So we certainly can get a reading out of this deck, and I find it fascinating, again, that the first 5 cards that came out, 5 cards, 5 elements, came out as majors. So this deck is very much determined to introduce herself in a big way. 5 of Water says, indigo candle. Okay, so here we go. Remember all those things that said each suit was going to have? The Ace is just the element water. The 2 is the time of day, twilight. The 3 is the sense of taste. So what did I say? I saw that card and said I would think of Earth, except that the sense of water is taste, and you've got all these fruits and things to taste and mouths. So, bingo. Moon phase is number 4, the last quarter. The 5 is a candle. The 6 is a stone, aquamarine, a crystal. The 7 is an herb, thyme. The 8 is a flower, lotus, or plant. The 9 is cauldron, so that's a magical tool. The 10 is the planet, Mercury. The page is orchid incense. The queen is the swan. There's an animal. The king is oils. Does that say oils? I can't see what this says. Oh. Can you read that word? Offals? Offals? Page. I don't know what that says. All right, hold on. I think she's listed these things in order. Sorry, but we're digging deep. Because I like this. This deck is going to be one that I will go in and dig into. I mean, it has... I've seen already that my intuition is keyed in. All right, why can't I find this page? Keywords, cards. Here we go. So yes, these go in order. So the... Where was I? I was on the King of Water. That's an allegory. Like any monarch, the King of Water is a figure of abundance. Here, of abundant emotion like his element of water, born of froth. He sits in a cornucopia of abundance overflowing with shells, which are a sign of his empathy, generosity, and confidence in the people around him and in his social relationships. The King of Water is a situation or person you can trust. What is that frickin' OT? I don't know what that says. It's a beautiful font. So it's OT, or maybe it's OF and LIS. I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to do some more digging for that. And then the night here is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio constellations. So there's the constellations. So she does have those symbols that were listed, or those things that were listed, march from the ace through the night in sequence. So that's going to be very interesting. All right, let's go back to the Five of Water. And indigo candle. Keywords: disappointment, regrets, loss, mourning. Absolutely in line with traditional Five of Cups. Reverse is forgiving and moving on. So we list reverse meanings for the minors, but not for the majors. Fascinating. And now I want to go back and look at reversals here. Patterns in spreads. Okay, reversed cards. Don't put the cards the right way up just to have a positive spread. Bear in mind the basic meaning of some cards is negative, so don't push them away, as sometimes the negative meaning is what the card is actually telling you. As previously mentioned, you can choose to take into account or not the fact that some cards appear upside down when drawn. If you do not take reverse cards into account, try not to deny the negative meaning of some cards. All right, the reverse meanings of the minor cards are presented in the booklet as in the Rider-Waite tradition. However, the reverse meanings of the major arcana cards are not indicated, as they are more complex and you will have to learn to discern them on your own. Sometimes major arcana cards have such a global signification that drawing them upright or upside down makes no great difference. Refer to the patterns made by the cards. Okay, so I have to say that you know, they're more complex and you'll have to discern them on your own. That is valid. I will say that I don't disagree with that. It's valid. But it kind of reminds me of this reader that I went to once. And she was one of these people that talked about being, you know, the reader's reader, that she's the one that reads for everybody else. And so I coughed up the money at a time when I really didn't have it and went to her for a reading. And she didn't it didn't hit. The reading she gave me was just like, I remember sitting there thinking, why did I waste my money? And at the end of it, she took a drawing of a man's face and said this was her guide. It wasn't a very artful drawing. And handed me the picture and said, he has a message for you. Look into his eyes and he will give you his message directly. And I thought, well, that's a nice cop-out. That makes life easy for a reader. So that kind of reminded me of that, but I'm not gonna lay that on this author. I think she's done something worthy here. Okay. This card seems idyllic with its beautiful, welcoming fireplace, yet it invites you to take a step back. The fireplace has been closed off and no fire will ever burn in it again. Okay, so I think that's the closed off part, maybe? The candle flames are flickering, sometimes invisible, in the wax hollows that might smother them in the end. The wax starts to run uncontrollably as if to expel what needs to be eliminated, a time of mourning, of looking back towards the past, of regrets, until the flames are ready to show themselves to the world once more and shine in the eyes of all. So between the High Priestess and the Magician here, we're talking about having to release, having to have an emotional release. Let the energy of grieving flow out. So we have to get in touch with the things that are hidden, let it flow out so we can then begin the external work. Now let's look at the Page of Fire. Air, water, fire, and earth. I think it's interesting because she talks so much about ritual and, you know, the elements and using them for ritual and everything, but the order that she puts the suits in do not follow around the wheel. I like air, fire, water, earth, or earth, air, fire, water, but she's got air, water, fire, earth. Or fire, earth for the Southern Hemisphere people. At any rate, you know how fussy I get. So the Page of Fire is mandrake incense. Keywords: creative energy, clumsy enthusiasm, insouciance of youth, and the reverse is pessimism, fear of revealing yourself, and limiting thoughts. Like any page, the Page of Fire is in between two things, is in the middle of hatching. He's the most exalted, ardent, and committed of all pages, living on passion and creativity, and has not thought of consequences. So she talked of the pages being, hold up, here we go, hesitation. In numerology, the pages representing hesitation. Okay. But this guy, if he's not thinking of consequences, he's not hesitating, he's just going. He reveals himself fearlessly, all the while retaining the modesty of his youth and fiercely protecting his inner child. All right, clumsy enthusiasm. So we're kind of being warned here, especially since it's between the Magician and the Fool, not to act without thinking. That the Magician and the Fool can talk about sort of rushing in where angels fear to tread, or not thinking things through. You know, we want to create and manifest and manipulate and just rush into the unknown. This is a little bit of a warning to consider consequences, to have a more practical plan, to not let enthusiasm carry you away to the point where you're gonna stumble. 10 of Fire, 4 of Water. I'm just going to do these real quick. 10 of Fire is Mars, responsibility, seeing red, feeling sick and tired. So 10 of Wands, yeah, oppressive. Reverse is offloading a weight. So we need to be aware of taking on too much. The 4 of Water. Okay. Fire. Okay. Okay, 4 of... That's air. What the hell? This is water. There's very short, as you can see. For the majors, we have a page and sometimes more than a page of text. For the minors, you just get a smaller thing, and, you know, as is usual. Keywords are boredom, stagnation, withdrawal. All right, so we can just rush into things out of boredom. And the final thing is the Six of Air. Good, let's take a look at air, another suit. The Six of Air, leaving a difficult situation, making progress, resisting. So yeah, we do ultimately make progress, but we need to make sure that we're in touch with the emotions. And remember, in this deck, Sun talked about emotions too. So we need to bring the things that are hidden into the light so that we can properly grieve and let go of what doesn't serve. But then we need to be aware of consequences before we move forward. We need to... what was that 10 of fire again? Responsibilities. Seeing red and feeling sick and tired. That was Mars. I wish she had planetary symbols on these. I might have to take a gold pen and add to these. That would be a lot of fun because we've got black and white drawings with the gold. So I think I might have to add the symbol of each planet so that I don't have to try to remember them. This is a good deck to customize. I think she said something like that, and I wasn't like, she's like, you can make it your own sometimes to the extreme. You can own it. So yes, I will accept that invitation. So we have to be responsible, and these things, the Fool in the Night, talking about not devolving into boredom. We need to feel the emotions and release them, and then the Six of Air says we move forward. I mean, this is, I could go very much in depth with this reading, but I'm not going to because we're almost at an hour, and my videos recently have been an hour long, and I'm like, oh my God, that's too long. But if you're still here, it wasn't too long for you, and you are my hero. Yes, you are. Thank you so much for sticking this out. Do you have this deck? Do you want this deck? Did this review change your mind one way or the other? What do you think? Comment below. I love to engage with you. I answer all the comments that I get. And again, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're interested in being a patron because you want to support the channel, I really appreciate that, and I thank you and bless you for it. There's also a couple links down below where you can send me a donation without becoming a patron, and nothing is too small, and I'm grateful for every bit. All right, you guys, thanks again for hanging out with me, and thank you, patrons, for funding this deck. Well done. I will see you next time on an unboxing or live stream, and until then, this is Luna. Blessed be.